I'm number 14 on the ballot. My name is Vicki Christensen. I'm running for judge of the Court of Common Pleas because I want to run a trauma-informed courtroom. I've spent my career working with survivors of child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And if we look, as we are trying to do in so many other areas of criminal justice practice, if we look at the available research on how trauma impacts individuals, both people who have survived crimes, so they're coming into court as survivors, but also those who have been charged and are, in all likelihood, have survived childhood and adolescent trauma. The research is really clear that if we are not addressing the underlying trauma, then we're really not doing any good for these individuals, that we need to provide them more comprehensive services that are trauma responsive and that are supported by best practices that we know from the research available from therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. And so I want to run a courtroom that recognizes this, that avoids the re-traumatization of people, and that provides individualized treatment for everyone who comes into the courtroom. So I'm Vicki Christensen, number 14, and I hope for your vote on May 16th.
Practicing 26 years, had cases in every court in the city, from the smallest little small claims claim in municipal court all the way up to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals down at 9th and Market. So I applaud you for your political involvement, your activism. My political career started as a committee man when I was 18 in Northeast Philadelphia. Been a committee man in that Mount area for a while. Running for judge now. I studied now, my current practice is plaintiff's class actions. I mostly sue drug companies trying to keep prices down, keep generic drugs on the market. Spend a lot of time as well representing homeowners who are being foreclosed on, doing that pro bono work. I want to take my experience. I also have a lot of time working with kids, soccer coach, baseball coach, and I have a Boy Scout troop as well. So I feel like I can take a lot of diverse experience in life and bring that to the bench, try to focus it as a judge to recognize that everybody who comes into the court's an individual, everybody's got a story. It's one city, but we all live in our own little realities. And as a judge, it's important. I can't know everybody else's story, but it's important to recognize that they have one. I should say also that I'm recommended by the Bar Association, which is a big deal as well. So, John Macaretta, I would say Election Day is my day. On May 16, vote for number 16. All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rania Major. I'm number 17 running for Court of Common Pleas. This is the 30th year of practice for me, the last 18 of which have been at 5th in Indiana. I'm pretty much a general practitioner with a heavy emphasis on criminal, family, and to a lesser degree at this point, civil. I have done everything just like John has. I've been up to the Supreme Court in Bonk of the state. I've been over to the Third Circuit. I also have created laws in front of the Commonwealth Court in Bonk last year for every working man and woman. I had one workers' compensation appeal case where I created 2 new laws in one case. I'm hoping to do the same this year in front of the Superior Court with regard to a criminal matter. I'm known for doing a lot of pro bono. My office is at 5th in Indiana. And you don't stay there for 18 years looking like I look unless you understand people and you understand life. I bring that kind of experience to the bench. I have tried to persuade judges that are currently on the bench to understand the ways and means of a lot of different people that are underprivileged, be they homeless, LGBT, women, minorities, disabled. That's who I am. With regard to trauma and those types of things in courtrooms, every courtroom's a trauma courtroom. Whether you're a victim, whether you're a family of a defendant, whether you're a defendant, whomever you are. And if you're experienced and you have 30 years of experience, you know what's in play already. We have things like PSIs, pre-sentence investigation reports, but they can be developed further. I would be fair. I'm not opposed to writing opinions because I digress from what are considered sentencing guidelines. A lot of times it comes down to time for people and the judges and what they can do. I would like to ask for your support, number 17. And if you have any questions, I'll be here for a little bit before I have to leave for the next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Resias. I'm also running for Court of Common Pleas. If elected, I'll be the first transgender judge in Pennsylvania's history and the 3rd in the nation. I was recently recommended by the Bar Association, which can evaluate you by the same criteria, and we can accept you as a judge. Would mean a lot to me, but it would also mean a lot to the entire transgender community, especially kids. You know, recently there was a study that showed that jurisdictions that passed marriage equality laws saw an instant and significant reduction in suicide attempts from LGBT teens. So that's amazing. Our work had a type of resonance that we didn't think it did. But there's a darker implication. What happens when protections are withdrawn from transgender kids in schools? What's that going to, what impact is that going to have? So that's why I am being such a loudmouth on the campaign trail. You probably heard my voice. I'm on the verge of losing it pretty much every night. But I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you so much for coming out. I'm number 18. My name's Henry Sias, and please come out and vote.
My name's Dave Ralston. I'll tell you a little bit about Dan Sulman. Dan is a former ward leader, committee person. He was born in Northeast Philadelphia. Currently lives in Mount Airy with his family, his wife, his daughter, and his son. He's spent his whole life in public service. He was a master of the courts, and for about 14 years until he was appointed as judge in the family court. He is now running to keep his seat because he really believes in what he does. He's number 24 on the ballot. If you have any questions up here, my name is David, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. But I'm going to ask you to please vote for Dan Sulman, number 24 on the ballot on May 16th.
My name is Leon Goodman, and I'm number 26. Easy to remember. Any Philly fans here? Chase Sutton, 26, second base. And I'm at the top of the second column, so 2 memory reminders right there. I'm a child of this city, born and raised. My first home was in the Abbotsford Projects. My mother died when I was 4, so I was raised by a single parent until he remarried. My parents still live in the house. They raised me with my siblings in Mount Airy till this day. I went to Central High School. I went to North Carolina Central for my undergraduate degree. I went to Villanova for my law degree. And part of the reason why I went to Villanova is because my father worked there. He was public safety. So when you face the choice of Temple tuition versus free Villanova, where do you think you're going to go? I went back to Temple a few years ago when I started my own practice, and I got my master's in trial advocacy. That's the #1 program in the entire country, and I graduated in the top 5%. My practice, up through this point, 21 years. I've been a prosecutor for about 16 years, and I've been a defense attorney now for about the last 5. I practice in 3 primary areas as a defense attorney: the adult criminal system, the juvenile court system, and the mental health court. The juvenile court system is what motivates me to run for the position of the Court of Common Pleas. Now, as a prosecutor, as well as a defense attorney, I handled everything from fights about bikes all the way to capital homicides. And as a result of some of the things that I learned in my almost 10 years working almost exclusively with juveniles, I realized that juveniles think differently and must be treated differently. As a defense attorney, I'm one of 2 in this city that's certified by the the Supreme Court of this particular Commonwealth to handle capital murder cases. They call it 801 certification. That still goes into juvenile court almost every single day and handles juvenile court appointments and juvenile trials. Why is that important? Because the children deserve to have the best representation, and they also deserve to have people who are representing them who know the ramifications of mistakes made as a kid. You will often see in many murder cases that the individuals who are accused have extensive juvenile records. You need to have juvenile court judges who understand this, who want to get their hands dirty, talk and working with the children so they don't end up on state road and ultimately in state prison. That's what motivates me. That's why I'm here. Now everyone's talking about endorsements. I have a lot of them. I've been endorsed by the 5th Ward, the 8th Ward, the 9th Ward, the 27th Ward, and the 30th Ward. Now these wards are a little different than the rest of the wards in the city. They actually make you come in. They make you submit a resume. They make you submit an application. They actually interview you. They ask you questions. They look at each individual candidate, not based on what somebody else tells them, but what you've done and the content of your character. And each one of them has chosen to back you. In addition, numerous unions from the AFL-CIO, laborers, DC 33, DC 1199C, as well as State Representative Donna Bullock, and ultimately Governor Ed Rendell. So it gives you a little bit about my background, the years of practice, and what motivates me. Remember, May 16th, that's election day, but that's also the day before my birthday. So I'm asking each one of you for our 47th
Hey, I'm
birthday
17
gift.
too.
Outstanding, another Taurus. Leon Goodman, number 26, Court of Common Pleas. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Heather Marcus. I'm here tonight for Wayne Barish, who has her very first fundraising event tonight, so she's sorry she couldn't make it because Philly Up is very special to her. Part of what spurred her decision is that her sister was born with multiple disabilities, and she saw that her sister wasn't always treated the same as other people, and it was important to her for people to be treated equally and fairly, and that's what spurred her to become a lawyer. And she's involved with a lot of philanthropy in Philadelphia. She is involved with Career Wardrobe, which helps women in getting jobs, and she actually has a fundraiser this Wednesday, May 10th at Career Wardrobe. You can come drop off some clothes and meet Wendy, ask her any questions if you have them. She's also involved with Settlement Music School, and they give music lessons to children regardless of their ability to pay. And her grandfather was actually a musician, so that's something that's very special to her. And she's involved with the Hebrew Benevolent Society. As a child, her family received public assistance, and she is aware of how difficult it is to make it in this world, and she's worked hard to get where she is today, and she's thankful for the Philly public school education that she's gotten. And you know, she's number 29, so please vote for her on May 16th. She also has a fundraiser tonight, which I'm headed to if anybody has time after this is over. We'll be in Old City at the Old City Collective, 222B Race Street. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Terry Booker, and I'm running for judge. My number is 39, and I'm a Democrat. And what I'm hoping to do as judge is help deal with the mental health issues that we have. It's an epidemic going on. We got to get people, stop incarcerating them, get them the treatment they need. We also need to get the children, bring them into the courtroom, let them see and have a positive experience before they first experience is a negative experience, and then that taints them through their lives for the justice system. And those are the things I want to do. I work for the Christian Legal Clinics of Philadelphia. I volunteer there 2 times a month, and come down and see us. We are 10 spots all over the city, and so a location is near you. And we help all sorts of cases: wills, expungements, custody, whatever it is that you can't seem to find legal help for or can't afford legal help for, we can help you. Come and see us. I also am currently working with the ACE program, that's Advancing Civics Education, and we help teach and fill the void that they have taken out civics out of the public school system. So we go in as attorney and judges, and we teach them about their right to vote, the Constitution, things like that. So as judge, I want to continue to do all those good things. My number is 39, Terry Booker for judge.
And so 90% of the cases I see are nonviolent drug offenses. So all day what I get mostly is a parade of black and brown boys 18 to 24 on nonviolent drug offenses. And so what have I seen and what do I do? I really see that there are 3 things that principally bring people to my courtroom: mental illness and or drug addiction and lack of economic opportunity. Those are the 3 things. Everybody virtually who comes before me has one or all 3 or a combination of those things. So for me, the first 2, while very difficult to manage, are really straightforward. You have to get treatment. People have to go in treatment. And the really sad part is that one of the only places you can get drug treatment if you don't have insurance is by committing a crime, right? So I've actually had people commit crimes, reoffend, and say, "Judge, I came back so you can send me to treatment." So, yeah, and so that's literally true. That you cannot get drug treatment centers are so full. If you do not have insurance, if you're not in the criminal justice system, it is very, very difficult to get treatment. So people actually feel like they can commit a crime and get treatment. The other thing is with mental illness, a lot of people don't have haven't gotten the Medicaid or Medicare, they don't have the ID, they can't keep going to the same doctor, they can't get treatment. If they lapse for a month and they have to go and reapply, they can't really navigate the system based on their illness and, in fact, the drugs they're taking to cope with their illness. Instead of taking the medication, they're using narcotics off the street. So what I do is I also get them into treatment, but what I do for both of those subgroups is I make them come in for status conferences every 30, 60, or 90 days, so I can be sure that they're staying in treatment, that they have the resources they need, that if they need a social worker, there's actually a social worker assigned to my courtroom. And so if they need something, that they can come back and they can get it and someone can help them navigate the system. Because what happens is a lot of people just fall through the cracks. You give them a sentence, they go out into the world, and you never hear from them again. As long as they don't commit another crime, they never come back to court. So that's what I do for those groups. For people who have the economic opportunity issue, they don't have a high school diploma. I require they get one if they're under 23, and if they get a GED if they're older than that, if they're capable of doing so. I also require that they get some kind of job or vocational training. And I really encourage them to get a trade, because it is very difficult. I was an employment lawyer. I know what the law says, but it's very difficult to get employers to hire people with criminal records. It's hard to get a job when you don't have a criminal record. When you have a felony conviction, it makes it exponentially more difficult. And so, but if you have a trade or a skill, if you can code, nobody cares if you used to sell drugs.
Amen. Only the coding part.
Respect, Chuck.
You're in a safe space.
I didn't hear that. If you want the plumber to come fix your bathroom, have you asking him if he sold drugs when he was a teenager? No, you just want them to fix the toilet, right? And so I try to redirect them into those types of skills or vocational training where they will be able to earn a living wage, because frankly, they cannot earn a living wage making $7.25 at a fast food restaurant. It is a recipe for disaster. They will be back on the corner selling drugs again in order to support themselves. And so that's a little bit of what I do every day. Don't mean to bring anybody down, but I try to give everybody who comes before me an opportunity to make their lives better. And so I'm not naive enough to believe that everyone's going to take that opportunity, but for those who do, it really does make a difference for them. And so, Lucretia Clemens, button number 40, thank you, and I appreciate your support.
Hello, everybody. I'm speaking here on behalf of Marissa Brumback, who is number 45. One of the things that she talks about is she is a true Philly girl. She worked since she was, I think, 8, running a paper route. And so she's worked very hard, and she's worked very hard to get to where she is right now. And while I'm probably not underselling her attributes, she's a terrific person, has a lot of common sense, and so much so that her son, this is a story, you know, she will tell. Her son, who's a young boy, I think he's about 8, said, "Mom, I know." She said, "What do you think whether I could be a good judge?" And he said, "You know, Mom, you can tell when people are lying." So, and then she said, and then he thought a little bit more, and he thought, and you also give out really good punishments. So anyway, she is a terrific person. I wish I could say more about her, but you'll find her on the website. I'm sure she got, and Marissa Brumback, number 45.
And I'm here on behalf of Sherman Toppin, button number 49. Sherman Toppin has been practicing law for over 20 years. Why am I supporting Sherman Toppin? Well, on the campaign trail, I would see all of these judges every single night in the same space. And I would always see Sherman out there by himself running. So I started talking to him and looking into the municipal court to find out how many people were running, who the city committee and the Democratic Party had endorsed. And I realized the municipal court sees the highest volume of cases. 70% of the people and the defendants who go before the municipal court are males of color. Ask me how many people of color are running for municipal court and how many were endorsed by the party in our progressive democratic city.
How many people of color are running for municipal court, and how many were endorsed by the party?
0. 0. One person's running and 0. If we call ourselves progressives, let it show by our behavior. Demonstrate it. Don't tell me, show me. The bench must reflect the community. The bench cannot be all white males. Congress cannot continue to be all white males. Where are our women? Where are our people of color? Our jails are full of black men. Our benches don't reflect that. When Sherman was in college, he and his buddies were traveling from Kings Dominion. They were pulled over, they were forced out of the car. They were told to get on their knees, hands behind your back, guns waving. What have we done, officer? Ah, you fit the profile. The profile of what? Trafficking drugs. So that's it? That's it. All you need to do is be a college student and be 4 black in the car, and that's it. Well, enough is enough, because that motivated Sherman to pursue his law degree. Obviously, there were other influences, but that's the one that sticks out the most. So who better to have on a court that has the temperament, that's going to listen, who has the character and the compassion, instead of taking our young men and our young boys, destroying our communities and our families, and putting orange jumpsuits on them. Can we not put a black robe on some? So I ask you on May 16th, when you go to vote, let's diversify our bench. Let's let our community reflect our benches. Please vote Sherman Toppin, button number 49 on May 16th. Thank you.
We have 7 statewide judicial openings this year. We have 1 for Supreme Court, and then we have 6 on the intermediate courts, 4 on the Superior Court and 2 on the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. And I, of course, am running for Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. And let me just briefly tell you about the Commonwealth Court, and I'll talk about one case because I think it shows the importance of the Commonwealth Court. Several years ago, the Republican-led legislature in Harrisburg passed a law called the Voter ID Law that was going to require every Pennsylvanian to show some form of ID, whether they had it or not. So ultimately, that case went up to the Supreme Court, and they kicked it back down to the Commonwealth Court. And it was one single judge on the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania that overturned that law because he found that it would disenfranchise the voters. So that really was a great example of the importance of the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. Now that judge happened to be a Democrat. Luckily enough for us, the case was assigned to him. But it really showed that the Commonwealth Court has such an effect on us as Pennsylvanians. Now I am from Scranton, but I practice all across the state as an attorney. My partners and I have offices in Harrisburg, and we have office in Pittsburgh. We represent about 35,000 union members all across Pennsylvania. So what does that mean when you represent a union? Well, early on in my career, I had a woman come to me. She was fired simply because she went on maternity leave. I filed an action on her behalf. Got the very first jury verdict in Pennsylvania under the Family Medical Leave Act. Later on in my career, I had a group of state employees come to me that felt that they were being discriminated against. 4,000 of them. Filed an action on their behalf. Didn't even make it to a jury. We forced the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to change their policies because they found that the state was violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. Just recently, I had an employee who was several months away from retirement. He was fired. He was fired in an effort to deny him the pension that he had earned over 29 years. Filed an action on his behalf under the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. Got him the pension, not that that state was giving to him, but the pension that he had earned over 29 plus years. Now those are 3 cases in the hundreds of cases that I've done, but I think what they show you is the work that I've chosen to do. Because candidates will get up here and talk about what they want to do, but I like to get up and talk about what I've done. Because I've walked the walk. I've fought the fight on behalf of workers all across Pennsylvania, and that's why I'm running for Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. I want to continue that fight, continue to be the voice for working men and women on that court. Now, if we've learned anything since January, is that judges do matter. You know, you hear about we talk about the immigration ban, the judge out in Washington, the judge in Hawaii. You know, that third branch of government is so important that we need to focus on these races as Democrats. And we have so many great candidates for not only the Court of Common Pleas here in Philadelphia, but for municipal court in Philadelphia. But I'm here to remind you today that we have 7 openings on the state courts. And we need to really get the Democratic vote out to get people elected that share our values as Democrats. And I'm here tonight. I am, I'm endorsed by the Democratic Party of the state. I'm endorsed by City Committee. I'm recommended by the Pennsylvania Bar Association. And believe me, I'm honored to have endorsements and recommendations, but they don't win elections. It's people like you in this room that are going to help us Democrats get elected. And that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here to ask for your support personally. So push button number 10 for Todd Egan for Commonwealth Court. Thank you very much.